I'm a very kinesthetic and sensual type of person, and I have had many experiences of great beauty and great love. It wasn't until yesterday's Beethoven sonata that I felt the feeling of oneness with experience. And it was it was felt in the place of the physical body as energetic movement and oneness. And I've always craved to feel oneness with objects as well as I already do with the being of all people and animals and insects. So how can I promote or allow that sensual oneness feeling to blossom, say with a tree, a car, a rock, a chair, all of it?
Do you like walking in nature?
Very much.
That would be the place to start. Because nature, unlike man-made objects, which are made usually for a specific function, and their function is what often primarily stands out when you look at a car. You tend not to think of it as a beautiful object. You tend to think of it as a vehicle to get you from A to B. Whereas in nature, nature doesn't exist for any reason. It doesn't have a function. So it's very. That's why we like walking in nature, because it's so easy to feel connected to nature and the landscape. So start there. And then make sure that every single object in your home is beautiful. I don't just mean the few objects that you have on the mantelpiece or your paint, but everything. Just choose everything. The kettle, your saucepans, your wooden spoon, everything. So that everything in your home is like your home is like shines with being. Not just the art objects, but the functional objects as well. In fact, don't make a distinction between the art objects and the functional objects. So really. So in this way, you develop a relationship with the objects. They're not just, you don't think of the objects as primarily something functional. You think of the objects as primarily something beautiful. You happen to stir your porridge with it, but that's its secondary function. It's a beautiful shape. It's been beautifully made. So that would be a way of getting in touch with beauty in what would otherwise be considered an ordinary functional object, an ordinary material functional object.
Is it too grandiose to imagine this palpable oneness with everything? Because I have felt when there's a movement at a distance, I have felt it inside.
No, that's not too grandiose at all. Absolutely, feel that the being. If I were to ask you all to describe this glass, what would you say? Just give us one.
Transparent.
Okay, well, I was hoping you would going
It
to say...
It is.
It is transparent. Everyone would say it is transparent. It's half full of water. It's half empty. It's made of plastic. It's always it is, followed by some qualification. And actually, if you think of anything in the world, if I were to ask you about the mic in your hand, what would you say? You'd say it's heavy, it's hard, it's cold. It's always it is qualified by something. Everything that comes after the it is something that either thought or perception has added to the experience. It's hard, that's a perception. It's cold, that's a perception. It's new, that's a thought. So everything after the it is what the mind brings to bear on the experience. But the it is not conferred by the mind on the object. It's what the object essentially is. In exactly the same way that the same is true of us. Whatever we say, if anyone were asked us about ourselves now, if I were to ask you, well, tell me about yourself, you'd all say, I am tired, I am sad to be leaving, I am... Everything that comes after the I am is what the mind adds to our experience of ourself. But the raw experience of ourself, the I am, is what we essentially are prior to the mind. The raw experience it is what the glass is, prior to what thought and perception have added to it. So everything, just as the I am in each of us is prior to the feeling of being tired or cold or hungry or lonely, the I am comes first. Everything else is a temporary qualification of the I am. So the label small, full, empty, transparent, all of those are labels that come after the essential, its essential ingredient, which is being. And if you take away all the labels that the mind adds to the being that this essentially is, and you take away all the labels that the mind adds to the being that we essentially are, they're the same. So that's the first thing. Normally the last thing we know about an object is its being. We first see that it is transparent or empty or full or plastic, or that. We see, and then after investigating, we then realize, yes, at the deepest level it is being. Just as normally we think about ourselves, I'm cold, or I'm tired, I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. And then if we trace our way back, we eventually arrive at our being. But reverse that. Just like you reverse that in relation to yourself, the first thing to know about yourself is that you are essentially being. Everything else is a temporary qualification of the being that we essentially are. And that's the same thing with objects. The first thing to know about an object is its being. And then everything else is a temporary qualification of that. So it's not too grandiose to imagine relating to objects in that way. It is whatever, a car, a spoon, the sidewalk, or whatever. The first thing to know about it is that it is. And feel that the isness the isness of the object is the same as the amness of ourself. And it is thought and perception that divide the two. And that recognition that the isness of the object is the same as the amness of ourselves, that's what we call beauty. Just as the recognition that the amness in another person is the same as the amness in us is what we call love.
Yesterday I was practicing the knowing that I am and it is the en bloc, walking in nature, the entire experience is our one. I'm not separate.
Yes.
And, knowing is different than feeling. I would love to have the feeling that in the entire experience now, the feeling of love and beauty and knowing all at once, with all of it.
When you look at the face of a friend, and their face evokes the feeling of love in you. That you're not really loving their face. You're loving who they are, and the face is just the appearance of that. So it's exactly the same thing with an object. Know the same thing about an object as you know about the face of your friend. That the object or the world is the face of the being that it essentially is. Just like your friend's face is the face of who they essentially are. And seeing their face takes you to who they essentially are and to the love you share with them. It's the same. See the world as the face of God.
Thank you.